Alibaba has just released something huge in the world of AI. On 5th of September 2025, they announced a brand new AI model called Qwen3-Max-Preview. You know what makes this special? It's their biggest and most advanced model ever, with more than 1 trillion parameters. Now, if you're wondering what that means, think of parameters like the brain connections inside the AI. The more it has, the smarter and more capable it becomes. So, crossing the 1 trillion mark is a massive achievement, putting Alibaba's model among the most powerful in the world. To understand this new update, let's first talk about what Qwen models actually are. Qwen is the name Alibaba gives to its family of large language models. Basically, they are a version of AI systems that can understand and generate human-like text, answer questions, write code, and handle many different tasks. Think of them as Alibaba's own ChatGPT style models, but built and trained in their own way. Alibaba has been building these models step by step. They started with Qwen 1, which laid the foundation. Then came Qwen 2, which made big improvement in performance, reasoning, and language support. After that, Qwen 3 series was introduced, which became much more competitive with other big tech models from OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic. Each version was stronger, faster, and more capable than the last. Now with Qwen3-Max-Preview, Alibaba has reached a new milestone. For the very first time, they have entered the trillion parameter club. This means their model has more than 1 trillion parameters. This puts Alibaba on the same level as the most advanced AI labs in the world, showing they are serious about leading the global AI race. Now let's talk about the technical side. But don't worry, I will keep it super easy to understand. First, the headline feature, Qwen3-Max-Preview has over 1 trillion parameters, as you know. Next, let's look at something called the context window. This is basically how much information the model can handle at once in a single conversation. Qwen3-Max-Preview can process 262,144 tokens. In simple words, that's around hundreds of pages of text in one go. Out of this, about 258,000 tokens can be your input, the stuff you give it, and around 32,000 tokens can be the model's output, its reply. This means it can handle super long conversations, analyze large documents, or even work with big chunks of code without losing track. Another important feature is context caching. Imagine you are talking to the AI in multiple steps. Normally, the AI has to reread all the previous text every time before giving a new answer, right? That can be slow and costly. With caching, it can remember parts of the conversations more efficiently. So the whole process becomes faster and cheaper for longer sessions. One last important note, unlike some older Qwen models that were open source and free to download, this one is not open source. That means you cannot run it on your own computer. Instead, you can only access it through Alibaba's paid APIs or platforms. So while it's super powerful, it also comes with a price tag. So now let's talk about how well does Qwen3-Max-Preview actually perform. To put it simply, it's a big leap forward compared to Alibaba's older model called Qwen3 235 billion. That was already a strong AI, but this new one leaps it behind in almost every way. The model has been tested on several well-known AI benchmark tests. These benchmarks are like exams for AI, designed to measure things such as reasoning, problem solving, coding ability, and logic. Some of the big ones it was tested on include Super GPQA, AIME 25, Live Code Bench V6, Arena Hard V2, and Live Bench. Here is the impressive part. In many of these states, Qwen3-Max-Preview doesn't just do well, it actually beats or matches some of the top models in the world, like Cloud4 Opus from Anthropic, Kimi K2 from Monosort AI, and DeepSeek V3.1. That shows how serious Alibaba is about competing on the global stage, right? One highlight worth noting is the AIME 25 benchmark, which is focused on challenging math and reasoning problems. Qwen3-Max-Preview scored about 80.6%, which is considered an excellent result in this field. It shows that the model can handle tough logic-based questions, not just simple conversations. Now let's talk about how you can actually use Qwen3-Max-Preview and what it costs. Unlike some older Qwen models that were open source, this one is only available through Alibaba's paid platforms like the Alibaba Cloud Model Studio, Qwen Chat, and APIs on services like Open Router. That means if you want to use it, You will be paying based on how much text you send in and how much text the model generates. The pricing is based on something called tokens, which are like small pieces of text that the AI reads or writes. A token is usually few characters or part of a word. For example, the word Alibaba might count as 2 tokens. The bigger the conversation or document, the more tokens are used. Here is the pricing breakdown. For smaller jobs up to 32,000 tokens, it costs about $0.861 per million tokens for input. That means the text you give it, and $3.441 per million tokens for output, the AI's reply. If you go higher between 32K and 128K tokens, the price increases to $1.434 input and $5.735 output per million tokens. For very large jobs between 128K and 252K tokens, it's most expensive. $2.151 input and $8.602 output per million tokens. Compared to rivals like OpenAI, Anthropic, or Google, Qwen3-Max-Preview is on their pricier side. But here is the trade-off. This model offers a much larger context window, up to 262,000 tokens, which is way beyond what most competitors currently provide. So while it costs more, it can handle much bigger tasks in a single go. Even though Qwen3-Max-Preview is very powerful, it's not perfect. And there are some criticisms we need to talk about. The first big limitation is that it's closed source. Earlier, Qwen models were open source, which meant anyone could download them, run them on their own machines, and even improve them. But this new model is locked behind Alibaba's paid platforms. That makes it less accessible for researchers, hobbyists, and smaller companies that might not be able to afford API cost. Second, the pricing is quite high, especially for larger tasks. While big enterprises may not mind paying for the extra power, the cost could prevent smaller developers or startups from adopting it widely. This limits how many people can realistically use the model day to day. Another thing to note is that this is just a preview release. That means Alibaba might still be testing and refining the model. Some people are hoping that once the full version is released, Alibaba could consider making parts of it open source again. But for now, there is no guarantees. Finally, some experts argue that going all the way to a trillion parameters might be overkill. They point out that smaller, more efficient models can often achieve similar results with far less computing power and at a lower cost. In other words, bigger doesn't always mean better. And there is an ongoing debate in the AI community about whether these giant models are truly the best path forward. Now, there is a question for you. Do you think trillion parameter AI models are the future? Or should we instead focus on building smaller, more efficient models that are cheaper and easier to run? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the future updates. And if you want to dive deeper into other cutting edge AI models, make sure to check out my related breakdowns linked at the end screen of the video.